What we're showing you today is our 0-point clamping system. It's called Piranha. It is part of our fold under the Tico work holding. With Tico is our nuts, bolts, washers, clamping kits.
This conference will now be recorded.
And we got the Raptor line, which is our dovetail line, about 5 years ago. And roughly about a year and a half ago, we entered into agreement with Piranha out of Switzerland to represent them in North America for their 0-point system. And that's what we're going to show you today. And basically, if you're not familiar with 0-point, basically with 0-point, you're taking a fixture plate like this, putting it onto a machine, and it's got receiving bushing or a receiving mechanism here. And then we have a self-centering vise, which comes with locators, and these locators fit right into the plate. You take your little Allen wrench, tighten it down, and it locks into place. And you can take it on and off within 4/10 repeatability. So that's basically 0-point. Why would you go into 0-point? Why would you want 0-point in anybody's system? A couple of our competitors that also offer 0-point would be Fifth Axis, Lang. I think Big Kaiser offers a system similar to this. But 0-point in itself is basically quick setup. You've got a fixture plate on your machine and you're wanting to change. Basically, you got a small 2-inch vise for small parts. Now all of a sudden you got a bigger part, so you can quickly take that off, put on a little bigger vise, pop it onto your plate, lock it down, and now I'm ready to go. So your quick changeover, you're keeping your spindle moving, which is ultimately the end product that we're trying to achieve with any of this work holding. So you're not spending a half a day getting your machine set up to run. We want your spindle to run 720 hours a month, or at least as close to that as you can get. Because obviously at $200 an hour in machine time, the less time your machine's running, you can just see how expensive it is for that not to be making chips. So with 0-point, you can obviously change out with a high degree of accuracy. Now, as far as the actual work holding from Piranha, as I said, it's made in Switzerland. We stock it here in Ohio. We have 3 versions as far as the sizes go. I already showed you the small one, which is a 75 millimeter. These here are 170 millimeter by 92. So basically, these would be your 4-inch version, and then the bigger ones here is the 300 version, and it's roughly your 6-inch version. And with that, we've got 2 different style of jaws. We've got what we call the snapper jaw, and I'll have Nick here show you the snapper. And it's got serrated jaws. There's 2 sets of serrations at 3 millimeters in height, and they're built on a downward angle. So when it clamps, it's going to pull your part down to the bed of the vise. And because of the way that vise is made, you can get 8,000 pounds of clamping pressure with no part preparation. And the reason I mentioned that, one of our competitors, you have to take your raw material, put it into a scoring machine or a stamping machine, and they stamp it or score serrations into the side of your raw material. Then you got to put your block into the vise, line it up, and clamp it, and then you can get their 8,000 pounds of clamping pressure. Ours, you can do it without any part preparation. Obviously, then that would only be useful for first ops or raw casting clamping. I wouldn't recommend putting a finished part in there, obviously. If you want to do profile work or second, third, fourth options, we have our Gepard version. And Gepard is basically with the machinable jaws that are come on and off. The machinable jaws come in different sizes. They come also in steel machinable. And you just pop them off. And I'll have Nick show you, there's 5 points of contact with the bottom of those jaws, so they also repeat within about 4/10 when you take them on and back off again. So you can take your machinable jaw, change it out real quick, and there's a little cam in here. You just take you take another Allen wrench, lock the cam down, and the jaws are locked in place. Take your cam again, unlock it. And the jaws come right off. And those are the steel machinable. We also have serrated ones. This happens to be a short throw serrated jaw. We also have them where the serrations are farther back, so you have a room for your part to lay on. We also have just plain parallels. You pop those on just like that. lock them down. And so now you can do serrations on here, which are similar to the snapper. You can do your own different parallel heights, and the parallels also come with a short throw or the long throw. We also have stepped parallels, so you have both the flat surface and then you also have the serrations on the top, just depending on what it is you're looking for. And the same for the larger vise as well. One thing I do want to tell you that's really unique about our vise is it is the lowest bed height in the industry. So having it lower and closer to the bed, you've got more Z-axis. It also helps with the jaw lift. Our jaw lift on these vices are anywhere from 2 to 3 thou, and with our competitors, they're getting upwards over 5 thou on their jaw lifts. And we have replaced some in the field because of the jaw lift. The other version, or the other reason we don't have much jaw lift either, is because our jaws are actually right on 2 rails, as opposed to just a single rail down the middle of the vise. These rails are hardened steel and they're coated, and they also the repetition into the center is also 4/10 repeatability into the center of the vise. And because of the zero jaw lift, or the way the vise is made too, we also have open bed construction. You'll notice our competitors' vices, if you ever see them out there, they look like a boat. They're sealed, and so all the coolant and the chips after you manufacture get stuck inside the vise itself, and it eats up the screw segment. With ours, once the chips and the coolant hit the vise, it gets flushed out of the side. And I will tell you right now, we've got a huge account that we have replaced all their Lang vices because of that reason in particular. They just hated the way it had held the coolant and it held the chips. They loved the way this evacuated. One thing I'll tell you, they kept the Lang plates. So we didn't use our plates, we used a competitor plate. And the reason I bring that up is because our competitors, the locating pins on our vise is at 50 millimeter centers. Our competitors are at 52 millimeter. So the big question was when we got into this is, well, will your vise even fit on these plates because you don't have the same bolt hole pattern? Well, we do have this, the 52 millimeter is available. We can do 52 millimeter mounting on our vices, so they will fit with the competitors' plates. On the larger vices, some of our competitors do have 96 millimeter spacing on their bigger plates. On ours, you don't have to get a special plate. Ours bigger vise is also at 50 millimeter, same as the little one. So it'll fit on the same plate as the little vices, so you don't have to buy an extra plate. To get your bigger vices on and off. So you got one plate, I can use the same, or 2 different size vices. However, we can make our bigger plate with 96 mounting on it so that it will fit on competitors' plates. We do offer double station vices, which is what I'm showing you right here. We've got a fixed center jaw with 2 outside jaws. Why do you need that? Well, let's say I want to do 4 little parts. So I can put 4 parts in my vise as opposed to just 2 parts with a normal single station. This is, as you'll notice, is a smaller Gepard version. We do have the double station in the snapper and also in the larger 300 series as well. One thing that we also have, I don't have it to show you here in the catalog, these catalogs just came out. We also do 4-sided tombstones, as you can see, with the snapper or the Gepard vise, and also 3-sided tombstones. I'll have Nick kind of show you that. Those are available now. As well as the plates I just showed you. I've just got a couple here. I've got long ones, I've got a square one, and you notice I've got a round one here too. The round one, I will tell you, we just came out with. Those of you who are familiar with our other line, which is Raptor, which is our dovetail fixturing. If you've got a customer that buys a lot of our Raptor products, the bottom of our Raptor fixtures now come with tapped holes so that you can put our locating studs into the bottom of our Raptor fixtures, and now they will fit onto our 0-point system. So if you got a guy that really would like to use all this stuff with 0-point, he can put his existing fixtures so it'll adapt to 0-point. And if they're using Raptor risers, which I have right here, this is a Raptor riser. This adapter plate is a Raptor to a Piranha adapter plate. It bolts to our Raptor plates or risers, and that allows us now to use the 0-point system either with your Raptor fixture, or if you've already got Raptor fixtures and you like the self-centering vise, you can buy the self-centering vise in this plate, and you can now convert this to the Piranha vise system. Our Piranha base plates, you'll notice I just have a few of them here. We also have larger plates. We also have a various size round plates to go on indexers. So where are these normally used? Why would you need the round plates? The majority of the items that we run across, or the applications really, are more for indexing units. People have their machines, they put an indexer on it, and the pallets are anywhere from 100 to 210 millimeters is what we're finding. These will go on to a standard base plate also on a machine, but we're finding more and more uses of these really going on indexing applications. As we get more and more 5-axis type machines out there with the smaller pallets, we do see more of them being direct mounted to those type machines, but right now about 80% of our projects are including an indexer, whether it's a Haas indexer, a Pseudocoma indexer, what have you. So these items I'm showing you here are Piranha's own risers. So basically the risers come with a 0-point system on it. You would pop it into a fixture plate, put another fixture plate on top, and so now you're ready to accept the Piranha clamps on top of their risers. But like I said, if you have the Raptor, or you want to use the Raptor risers, then all we need to do is put the adapter plate on top of our Raptor risers, and we can use our Raptor risers to get it up a little more different than what Piranha offers on their risers. So, any questions so far? I know we kind of went fast, but a couple questions too is on the base. These are hardened or steel vise bodies with hardened steel rails, so they're not aluminum or.
Keep going, you're all right.
Okay. Like I said, any questions? The new catalogs are out. Your local rep will be getting those, and they can get them to you. I got you guys on here. We've got your emails. We can send you electronic copies. But if you got any other questions, now's a good time to ask. If you don't, feel free to have your rep call us. You can call us. You can email me. We'll be glad to answer them however you want, whenever you want.
Any questions?
Oh, hey, Scott, make sure you do PDF that catalog to us.
Yeah, that's the electronic copy I'll send to you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And then I'll send you guys, Jim, I'll send you guys the hard copy. See, okay, go ahead.
Does that have the coolant side of Piranha as well in it, or no?
No, the Coolant is a separate catalog. It's the same company. The question was, is the Piranha coolant line in this catalog? The answer is no. We have our own separate catalog for the coolant line. And for those of you who don't know, Piranha in Switzerland, when they were manufacturing these vices, they were using the plastic coolant line, similar to lock line. And they noticed that when they set it up to run overnight, it'd come back in the morning and their coolant line was blowing coolant all over the machine and wasn't hitting right through the cut zone. So they were having bad parts. Tool life was virtually zero. So he said, well, shoot, I got plenty of lathes that need some work. So he came up with his own coolant line. And it's the Piranha coolant line. It's anodized aluminum instead of plastic. You can get up to 1100 PSI through this. And if you're out in the field and you talk about coolant line, there are so many of these people that have high pressure coolant pumps. They can't run them because the plastic line won't hold it. It only holds about 100 to 150 PSI. And they would love to run high pressure to get to chip evacuation and keeping the cutting tool cold. This Piranha line is like an erector set. So you can take the pieces together. They're different size extensions. And you can just build it, lock them together, get them as tight as you want. We've got some applications where they've run these coolant line up to 4 or 5 feet. They blow air, they can blow coolant. We've got different nozzles for different applications. As you can see, we've got an elbow here, we've got Ys, we've got Ts, we've got ball valves. This is a 1/4 inch line. We have 1/8 of an inch, and we'll go up to 1/2 inch. And that pretty much covers the gamut on our coolant line. And so we do have a separate catalog just for the coolant line. And we've got a coolant line webinar scheduled now. We just scheduled it for next Friday, where we'll actually be out in the shop at a machine showing you how the coolant line really works versus what we have out there now. So, and I'll be making sure everybody gets that invite as well. Any other questions on the coolant side of it?
So one question, Scott, when we talk about lights out manufacturing, how do we think about that? And when we're talking with end users, trying to get them, you know, taking advantage of that spindle uptime, maybe just talk a little bit about that for a minute.
The advantage of running lights out?
You got it.
Obviously, Nick brought up the question about what's the big deal with lights. Basically, what's the deal with lights out manufacturing? Some of you may know, but the whole idea is as expensive it is to hire people to run a machine 24 hours a day, we've got more and more companies trying to be competitive, and they want the machines to run unattended. So basically, we have about 720 workable hours in a month that you could have your machine running. I would have to venture to guess very few people are at 720. That's a lot, but having lights out, you can run at night with being unattended and have your machines run. So in the morning, all you got to do is switch out the parts. So with our fixturing here and with the coolant line, you're able to do that. With the fixturing, you can get all the pallets fixtured, ready to go. So when you leave at night, you can turn the lights off, have the machine with your pallet pull system run all night long, and the next morning come in and your parts are ready to go. So all you got to do is flip out, change out your parts. And with the coolant line, you don't have to worry about this issue of your parts being ruined, at least due to the coolant anyway, or the coolant line pressure. And so basically, doing the lights out is going to be the thing of the future, and even more so, going to be lights out during the daytime at some point too. They're moving that direction with, you see all the robots now out in the workplace. So we're just trying to get into an area and position ourselves that we have some work holding that will help with that lights out as we move forward.
Excellent.
Any other questions? If you got any projects out there, if you got any customers that want to see one of these little webinars, we can have them up and running in just a matter of an hour or two. Give us a heads up. We can get on TV here and show them the product, answer their questions. We're more than happy to do it. Get some engineers if they're interested in trying to figure out what they want to do for work holding. We can do that. We offer that anytime on any of our lines, whether it's the Raptor, the Tico, the Tool X, the Piranha. So just get with your local rep and we'll be glad to get that set up.